welcome to Your Money in Real Estate. My name is Mark Vosylius, and I'm your host. And we've got a special evening, and I know, I say that every show. But this guy right here, we talked right up until the split second of us going live. And so I'd like to welcome Todor
Yordanov. Hi, nice to see you, Mark.
Yeah,
yes.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, I know that we just before we go live there that we're talking about the old days. I think
yes,
we weren't.
Yes, yes.
And you've got just a little bit of gray hair, which means you've been around maybe as long as me in the real estate business.
Probably, probably.
So, Todor, you're here because I know that you've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and you know I've known you probably since 2006, and I saw you and I've seen you grow your business, and your humble approach and your soft-spoken way, I really got to admit, I admire that.
Thank you.
I see that. But I know that for our viewers that don't know you, why don't you tell us a bit about how you started and how you sort of did you always want to get into real estate? What's your background and sort of like when were you born, kind of thing.
Well, I started as probably most people a little bit by accident. In my case, was purely by accident. My son was just a newborn baby. And my wife was pushing a stroller down the sidewalk in downtown Toronto, Richmond and Berkeley area, where she saw a sign, power sale. And we were very new to the country at that point. I think we were only in the country for 2-3 years.
And you're from?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria,
originally
okay.
from Bulgaria.
I love the name Todor. It's got a Lord of the Rings type of sound to it.
I never heard that. Yes.
Okay, well, you heard it here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes. One of my favorite movies.
Same here.
Beautiful
same here.
scenes.
Yeah,
yes.
I love it.
So we see this power of sale, and she follows me up and she says, like, there's this power of sale. It's probably a good deal, and we have to look at it and we have to buy it. At this time, we don't have our own home. We don't have stable jobs. We are pretty much just like new immigrants to the country.
Sure.
But somehow I knew that rental properties and real estate is in my future. So I called my real estate agent friend and asked him to show me the property. So we went in, looked at the property. It looked disgusting. And this is why it didn't sell. And
That's
this
right.
is why it went
That's
under
right.
power of sale. But I quickly saw the opportunity behind all these boxes and stuff and the oil paint on the wall and all that disgusting stuff. I see a potential to split it into 2 units, paint it, change some carpets, renovate it a little bit, clean it up, and rent it. So we put in an offer, and the offer was accepted, and I was in business.
That to me is that's why you're here, is because you right away saw a vision. You saw what we try to teach. And how do you teach where someone looks at a piece of junk and you say, no, I see an opportunity here. And I think that either is a skill, but I know that a lot of investment groups and a lot of people try to teach that, to say, hold on. There's a reason why something's power of sale. But when you go in, as you said, it was disgusting, but you saw something. I got to ask you though, so when you came, what is your background? Like, what is your It's not real estate, it's...
Oh, funny. Well, before I came to Canada, actually, one of the last my jobs I had in Bulgaria, I was an assistant director for the Bulgarian national TV. So I've been in a studio, I've seen the cameras, and I've done some editing in the background. Right. So I did that for about 2-3 years, came to Canada, and obviously, new immigrant, doesn't speak the language. That job to me, that door to me is closed, right?
Yeah.
So, and the first 5 to 10 years of my life in Canada, I had all kinds of jobs. Pizza delivery, courier for Greyhound. I had a hot dog stand. That was my first business.
Do you know?
Anything that you can imagine that a new person in the country would do, like, I've done it.
You know what? My admiration for you is going up and up and up because I'm a first generation. My father, very similar, comes from Lithuania, and the older I get, the more I appreciate the work that he had to do. Just, you know, like you say, you come here, barely, he came in, you know, same as you, hardly speaks the language, but he, you know, I think he's a great success now. And so I can see that, you know, you did the same. You come in and you're doing things. And so, you know, another check mark for it. But let me ask you though, as a hot dog salesman guy, how did you find the money to buy your first property?
We borrowed it from credit cards. and if you remember,
sorry to laugh, buddy, but
right? So I'm talking about 17 years ago.
Okay.
Right. So if you have to frame that, there was no internet. Personal computers were just coming out.
Right.
There was no internet. Credit card limits were $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
Interest rate
Which
was
were
expensive.
high. Yep.
Right. So I think I had a couple of credit cards, and we had like 3 or 4 credit cards. So you pull $2,000 from here, $3,000 from there, and that's what I remember.
Wow.
I think we probably bought it as a personal residence and then converted it into a rental, so we can, you know, buy it with low down payment. I remember taking the money from the credit card so I can do the renovations. But it was that vision. I'm going to clean it up, paint it, split it, put tenants in. They're going to pay me this much here and this much there, you know, top and bottom. And these are my payments. So I calculate all these things in my mind because I didn't have the training. I had nobody to talk to.
Sure.
Right? Back in those days,
yeah.
there were no clubs, no meetings, none of that, right? So it was all by myself, you know, trying to reinvent the wheel.
Well, it's also courage.
Yes,
it's also,
of course,
you know, there's other words we can use, but I would look at that as courage and stuff. And so for those of you that are watching, it's a call-in show, 1-866-715-1010. You can ask Todor, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to his story. And if not, you're gonna hear more. So give us a call with any of your questions, and we're gonna get into a bunch of other stuff. So you buy your first house or your first rental property on a credit card. Let me ask you though, would you recommend that to everybody?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. You know, the financing world is very different right now. People have equity in their homes, and there are lines of credits that you can obtain from a bank. There are different ways. But actually, why not? If you see an opportunity and your vision for that property and for that business, for that opportunity is so strong that you're going to bet your credit card and your credit history.
Sure, that's right.
And put your life on the line, and you believe in that vision, you know, who am I to say do it or don't do it?
Right. And you know what though, that's the true entrepreneur though. I mean, someone that is a self-made man usually believes in himself to that level. And I know that a lot of people talk about self-esteem. They talk about being motivated, and that inside, you got to feel good about yourself. Whether you make it or whether you don't, you got to live with the consequences.
Absolutely.
And that's a big part of what we do. But there's also the side where it says, you know, which I talk a lot about, is there's a lot of people who watch and say, you know, I'm not built like that. You know, I got a nice job. I just want to put a little bit of money aside. And I don't think that's for the type of person, no. If you got extra money, perhaps a joint venture or perhaps getting involved in private lending or getting it would be the better route, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And also, like when you look at deals, I mean, there's some deals that are, you're pushing the envelope. You know, they're risky and they are very complicated. They are very difficult, but there are also some deals that are easy. So what I did in the beginning was not that complicated. You buy a property, you kind of know how much you're going to charge in rents. You kind of know that you're going to find renters for that price. You just have to clean it up, renovate it. It's not that difficult. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, right? I mean, but the first one, like, it makes you sick to the stomach.
Well, and that's what we like to talk about on this, is getting past that analysis paralysis, or oh, you know, I'm afraid to make that first move. You're right.
Absolutely.
But you know, you never seem to have that. That wasn't part of your psyche, was it?
I've had my moments.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about your second property. So so here, you know, you've odd jobs, you're doing multiple things, you have a rental property. What happened next?
Actually, what happened is that first property, I had good tenants for a couple of years, and then I had a couple of bad tenants, and the last bad tenant was so bad, it took me completely out of the business because he just trashed the place. And then I look at those 2 past years, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm making a little bit of money, but I'm still paying off the credit cards. And kind of doesn't make sense what I'm doing, right? I'm not making money, right? And again, going back to I had no education in real estate and I had nobody to talk to.
Sure.
So I didn't know about depreciation. I didn't know about mortgage pay down.
Right.
I didn't know about all of those other ways that you're actually making money. All I can see is I'm working so hard, I'm freaking out, I'm constantly thinking about this tenant, and I'm not making money.
Right.
This is a bad business, this is not for me, I'm out. And that's exactly what happened. We put it for sale.
So you had it, what, 3-4 years?
I had it for about 2.5 years from what I remember.
Yeah. So you had
maybe
two good years of tenants, and then a real bad one just said that.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard that story.
A tenant who just did not pay from day one, right?
Nightmare.
And it was making my life a living hell. And it took me about 2.5 months to go through the process and to get him out legally. And on the way out, he just trashed the place. And so that was like a learning curve, right? I've seen everything, like the good and the bad, and the renovations and the financing and everything. And after that, I said, you know what? This real estate thing does not make money.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm out.
But when you sold, I mean, the mortgage got paid down a little bit. I'm sure.
Yes, the credit cards got paid a little bit. So we made a little bit of money, right? We made a little bit of money. The funny part is that we had hard time selling. The property sat on the market again for about a couple months, which probably at that time was usual for Toronto. We sold it. 6 months later, the market took off. And it's still going up.
Yeah. So you...
12, 13, 15 years later, it's still strong.
Yeah.
And so that property...
So then what got you back into it then?
I started reading some books. And probably one of the first books that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I know that many investors have kind of started with their mindset based on that book. I read that book, and then I read a bunch of other books, and for a few years, I think, I was just changing my mindset and learning about real estate and really appreciating the good things that I did, but also the mistakes that I did.
Of course.
And then planning the next stage. And then I joined the Real Estate Investment Network, and this is where I started networking with other people and asking a ton of questions.
Sure.
I remember before every meeting, I would go with my notebook and I have the questions, and I just would not go home until I have a check mark on every question. I just wanted to meet as many people as I can and ask them, like, how do you do this? How do you do that?
Yeah.
And learn, and also take a lot of action. So we started buying properties almost immediately, and we were buying townhouses in Hamilton, every couple months.
Wow. Well, then slow that story down. I mean, buying a couple townhouses means someone had money. Either you became wealthy doing something else, or where did you get? Because a lot of our callers that come in say, I got 10,000. I don't have a lot. I love what you do, but how do I get into it? So, where did the deposits come from?
The money came from equity from our principal residence.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that time, I'm talking about 6-7 years ago, we could still buy with 10% down, sometimes 5% down. So it wasn't a lot of money that you need.
True.
You probably need like less than $20,000 for your down payment, closing costs, and everything to purchase a townhouse in
Hamilton. 100, 120, 130,000.
In that range.
You're right. Yeah. Todor, we're gonna have to take a quick break here.
Okay.
And we're gonna come back, and we're certainly gonna get more into about how you got into the furthering, because we're gonna talk about student rentals as well. So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna be right back on Your Money in Real Estate. Don't go anywhere.